Check 1, 2. Is this thing on? Chef Eric here with Steakager. Thanks for joining me on this Facebook Live. I want to say welcome to all the new people that have purchased a Steakager, that are getting involved in their very first steak aging sessions, and for being part of the Steakager family. It's a great place, a lot of great people, and we're really happy to have you on there. So today we're doing a little casual. Welcome to my kitchen. We're going to actually do a recipe that is made possible by the Steakager because I wouldn't normally go out and spend a lot of money on a dry aged steak to make cheese steaks out of it. But with the Steakager, because I always have dry aged steak at my disposal, I can pull one from the freezer, or in this case 2 from the freezer, and make recipes like cheese steaks and other things. So that being said, I'm hoping...
How's it going, Chef? From Jason Donier.
Jason, thanks for joining in. And thanks for helping out all the new guys. It's an awesome thing. So I am going to make these sliders. And again, because I have so many dry aged steaks in my freezer, it makes doing something like this possible. So I'm asking anyone who can or has made other things other than steaks with their Steakagers and their dry aged steak to just put it up there. Tell me what you guys have made with your dry aged steak. It's a little bit out of the box thinking.
Doug.
Who?
Douglas Dorman.
Hi, Doug Dorman. Welcome. All right, so here on my board I've got all the items that we're going to use today in this awesome recipe. And listen, I peruse the internet for recipes all the time, and I say, oh, that one doesn't look so good, this one looks good. So this is definitely pulled directly from the internet. I did not invent this recipe, but I am incorporating the dry aged beef aspect to it because we can. It's an awesome thing. So here we have, there's a couple components to the dish. One, I am using a roll, all put together like this. It's a Hawaiian roll, and I've cut the tops off, left it intact. We are going to be doing the dry aged beef. This is a 45-day ribeye that I did in the Steakager. Took it off the bone. These were in my freezer, vacuum sealed, and I basically just defrosted them. We're going to cut that nice and thin. We're doing some onions, simply sauteed, and I'm adding the dry age aspect to that too, because I have dry aged beef tallow that I rendered out from the trimmings of the Steakager. We are going to then cook this in the garlic butter, and we're using American cheese. So we're going to get right to it. The first thing I'm going to do is these onions, and I just want to cut them pretty thin. I'm sure everybody, or most people, know how to cut onions. But
Mike Loomer's asking for instructions on what to use pellicle for.
okay, well this is obviously not using the pellicle, but the pellicle, most cases I use the pellicle to make dry aged beef stock. It's awesome. You'll make it just like a regular stock. I roast my pellicle and the bones and the vegetables with a little bit of tomato paste in a hot oven till it gets nice and brown, because it adds a really nice richness to the stock. Then you can even cook it down further and make it a more syrupy consistency. You can make demi-glaze, which you'll use in making a pan sauce. It adds amazing dry aged flavor. And then of course the fat you can reduce down, slowly render it out. You make tallow. You can, I cook everything with this. Brussels sprouts, awesome in this. You can also, kind of melt it down and use it as an injection in a brisket and get yourself some dry aged flavor into your brisket before you put it in your smoker. So there's a lot of things you can do. As far as the dry aged beef is concerned, the pellicle also can be ground with fresh meat to make ground beef, make great burgers. Anything you use brown meat or ground meat with, tacos, empanadas, any of that stuff, you can easily incorporate into any of those dishes. All right, so we're going to cut these onions pretty small, pretty thin. We want them to cook, and we kind of want them to melt down into the steak. Cut them up. And so behind me, hopefully you can hear me over my chopping. Behind me we have a pan, and that has the dry aged tallow in it. I've already melted it down a little bit. There's going to be plenty of onions. I wasn't sure.
And from Chris Sikorsky,
Yes.
you can use the pellicle in with fresh meat to make a unctuous meatball.
Unctuous. I like that term. And you certainly can. Certainly can. Chris was supposed to be here, but due to circumstances beyond our control, he is not here. At least not here. So here I'm going to put this pan on. So here I've got the pan with the dry aged beef tallow already melted down. It's nice and rich. I'm going to heat that up. We're going to get a nice sizzle out of it. That's our plan anyway. So while the pan...
One sec, Jason also said makes great jerky.
Fantastic. I would love a jerky recipe. I've never made jerky. So Jason, if you got one, shoot it my way. Love to do that. So while the pan's heating up, I'm going to do garlic because on top we're putting a garlic butter. So real simple, we're just going to smash it down. This is going to make some nice mince. And I'm using this Japanese vegetable knife that I bought in Japan from a really cool store that has been operating for over 400 years. So it was made by the same people that make samurai swords. So we just want to cut it up. Nice mince.
From Joe Quick, have you ever finished your steaks after sous vide in the beef tallow?
Sure you can. I don't think I ever have. I mean, I've not done too much sous vide cooking with steaks. I do have a sous vide machine. I typically want to do, like short ribs, kind of that thing, stuff that needs a little bit more cooking. I know a lot of people are fans of sous vide as far as the dry aged steak goes. So I don't dislike it. I just, it's not something that I've gone to lately. All right, so I got my garlic, nice mince, and in the back here, behind the pan, I have some melted butter. So this is going to be what we're going to put on top of the buns. That's going in. And I have, this is a collection of herbs. So when I mince parsley or thyme or any of those herbs, I always have a little bit left. I tend to do more than I need for the recipe. I just put it in a dish and I keep it out, and then I'll use it for other things. So that's going in here today.
And from Chris Manning, do you ever recommend pre-minced garlic?
I'm not a big fan. It's stored in oil, and a lot of times that oil will turn rancid. And so, and you might not know, but the #1 cause of foodborne illness is rancid oil, and that's a quick way to ingest rancid oil. So yeah, do it yourself. Smash it on the cutting board. That gets it already halfway there, and then just run your knife through it. And it really doesn't take long, as you can see. All right, so we're going to put the onions right in. Nice sizzle. Crank the heat. Keep going. Want that nice and hot. We're going to let them go. We don't want to really burn them. Well, we never want to burn anything, but we don't really want to brown them too quick. We kind of want them to cook in their own juice. So we're going to let that happen. And in the meantime, we're going to get right to our beef. And I am going to use this vegetable knife because it is really sharp. And what I want to do is, I want to get really thin slices. And this is the knife to do it. Some people will keep this frozen. It's a little bit easier to do when it's frozen. But this is basically what I'm looking for. Nice thin slices. And I'm cutting right through the fat, everything. Because all that will melt down. You want to go as thin as you can. And you know what? You do as thin as you can. It's not that serious. So this is going to cook down really nice. A lot of the steak places like, Philly and all that, they put their meat on a slicer and do it really thin, but I don't have a slicer. I'll work my way through this one. And all this fat is going to melt down. It's going to be delicious. There we go.
Your background sous chef is stirring up your onions.
There he is. He showed up. That's Chris, everybody. You is a proud Steakager owner, aren't you, Chris?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome. So, this is lunch for us. We have some other folks coming over for dinner, and we are going to be having surprise dry-aged beef. And so today's day 35 on my bone-in ribeye. So I'm going to do another live later today. That's going to be the breakdown of the bone-in ribeye. We'll do questions and answer session for people who have any questions that don't really pertain to what we're doing in this video. So we're going to get on that later on today. So anyone who's new, who's wondering how to do it, how to cut down and break down their ribeye, you definitely want to tune into that. All right, this looks awesome. I can smell the nuttiness of the beef. Really feel like it's much firmer than a fresh steak.
From Brian Lashfer, what time is the next show?
I'm not sure yet. We're probably having dinner around 6 o'clock, so it'll probably be later, in the afternoon sometime, maybe 2, 3 o'clock. But I'll give a nice heads up, as I'm getting ready to make it.
You're welcome, Brian.
All right. All fat, so I'm going to get rid of that because I don't need it. And here we've got awesome. And look at this marbling in this cut of meat. Beautiful. This is going to be fantastic. All right, let's go see what's going on at the stove. What do we got? At this point, I'm going to put a little salt on it. Because we know what salt does. Helps take moisture out. So that's what I'm going to do to these.
From Jason Genoyer, we thought of mixing lamb burger with pellicle.
Oh, absolutely. Because I think the gaminess of the lamb will go perfect with the dry aged flavor. Fantastic.
And Kevin Holmes Liddell will be in the area next week and wants to go to dinner.
Let's make that happen. That would be awesome. Let's crank this a little bit more.
They're browning.
Yeah, try to get some brown. You just don't want to start them too high. And once this goes with a lot of vegetables, we're doing mushrooms and all that. Once it starts to release their water, they really start to cook in their own juice. I do think I'm going to add a little bit more dry aged tallow.
And John Shaw Sr., nice split there.
Thank you. Let me go see if I have any.
Keep talking.
Any more questions?
Any luck on the demi-glaze?
We have Chris looking in the depths of the refrigerator. As you can see, they're getting nice and soft. Exactly what you want. And add a little bit of pepper.
It tastes awesome.
They do? How do you know? Oh, you took one.
It was on
On the spoon. All right. That's the fringe benefits of being the camera woman.
Oh yeah. We have Cody Harding.
Hello, Cody.
Looks delicious, and hello from Italy.
Ah. Buongiorno. Tutte a tavola alla mangiare. That's what they say, right? Yes.
Did you want this one?
Yeah, I'll add a little bit of that. I'm going to add it in a little bit,
Okay.
a little later. Now I'm going to cook my meat. I'm going to move these onions to the side. Fantastic.
From Ray Ortiz, looks fantastic. Very satisfying to watch you cook.
Hey, Ray. Thank you, sir. All right.
And Ray, I get the pleasure of doing this nightly.
Nice.
Ray Ortiz is so jelly.
You can do it.
Where's jelly?
You can do it too, my man. This is, not maybe it is a gourmet recipe because it's got the dry aged egg. We've elevated it. But, it's, if I can do it, you can do it. Turn that down just a little. You really just want to brown it. You know the dry aged beef cooks quicker than regular. So you gotta keep that in mind. It'll get nice and done pretty quickly here.
And Ryan, I just got a really good whiff of that dry aged beef flavor. It is fantastic.
Well done, dude. Good, yummy. Cooking very quickly. So of course I just added the beef, so I'm going to add a little bit more salt. I'm a big fan of salting as I go along. Builds those layers of flavor that you can absolutely taste.
From Ray Ortiz, I'm inspired to try something different with my dry aged beef. I usually stick to just steaks, and there's only so many ways to grill, sear, and tough.
Yep, there's a million things you can do to think out of the box a little bit.
Brian,
and this is an interesting recipe because after this we're putting it in the oven. It's going to bake, it's going to melt the cheese. It's going to be awesome.
So, and Brian Lashifer would like to convince Elon Musk to build a hyperloop to our home.
Beam me up, Scotty, kind of thing.
I think so.
I'm thinking of adding a little brandy to this. You know, recipes are recipes, right? So maybe you want to make a recipe for the first time, follow it verbatim. But after that, and I'll do this all the time, I will make different changes. I'll do things on the fly. You know, once you get the technique down, technique being cook the onions and the beef together, we are going to reach into my little bag of tricks over there. And I think it's over in this bag of tricks. There it is. Skeleton partly. And add a little bit of brandy to the mix. Yeah, so you can see that this is nice and cooked now. You got a little char on some of the ends. We're going to deglaze a little bit of brandy. And wait for it, people. Burn off some of that alcohol. And now I'm going to go around the camera woman. I'm going to add condensed glaze. Okay. Here's the demi, dry aged beef demi, going in, melt that down. You can add a little beef stock. I don't have beef, I got a little tiny bit of chicken. That's what I'm going to add. Fire up on the butter. Get that nice and hot. Well, chef's got a taste. The dry aged beef flavor in this, insane. It's off the charts. Does need a little bit more salt. And it does need a lot of pepper. Big fan of pepper. Look at that butter in the back there now. Okay, give that a little swirl. Those herbs in there. Really want to cook the garlic a little bit. I can smell it. Fantastic. And a little bit of salt to that.
Needs to be great for somebody's football party.
Yeah, perfect Super Bowl recipe. To do this part ahead of time, make it up, put it on the bread, and then just put it in the oven when your guests get there. And we break up this demi-glaze. All right, it's done. Mix it in. All right. You can add mushrooms to this. Whatever you want. You can do red wine instead of brandy. Okay, turn that down. Turn this off. Fantastic. All right, now let's go back to the cutting board. And what I have, my little tray, rolls, them in, came apart a little bit. I'm going to brush, do that.
And Brian asked if you'll post a written recipe somewhere later.
I'm going to try. I don't have one, but I'll do one. I'll take the time. I'll do that for you guys. No problem. All right, so we're doing this garlic herb butter. Again, this is just melted butter with some garlic. Use whatever herbs you have. Nothing could be bad here.
From Mark Stephenson, what are your go-to pans and what are you using?
Okay, so this big pan I got from Restaurant Depot. They're phenomenal and they're inexpensive. My regular pans are carbon steel, Mauviel. I'm sorry, these are Matford Borgia. I use these exclusively for searing. This sears an amazing steak. You can't put any acid in it, so no tomatoes, no red wine. It builds up this coating, it becomes naturally non-stick. So that's my searing pan. And then
I'm coming down.
These are also from Restaurant Depot. I recommend them highly. This non-stick, you could do an egg in here and swirl it around. They're really good. And I have a mini wok. It's also carbon. This was, I think I found this at a thrift store for about $6. And then I have a big wok, and I've got some copper pans and everything, depending on what I need. But those are really my go-to pans.
Can I show them your pot shelf?
You show them anything you want.
All right.
Yeah, so I have a couple of pans. It's all my saute, all my searing pans, different sizes. And these are all my belly pans, I call them sauce pans. Saucier, also known as Lynn's chai tea latte pan. Just another saute, a nice copper. All depends on what you're making.
But your top pans for working with dry aged beef, how about that?
That's going to be the Matford carbon steel for searing. Killer. Do that, sear it, do the butter, garlic, herbs, baste it with the butter. Yep, fantastic. I do also have some cast iron grill plates that fit over 2 burners that I'll use if I want to do the grill mark thing inside. Okay.
And one last thing was, what are your thoughts on copper? And that's
I
from
like
Jason
copper.
Gionier.
I don't have any copper that are copper on the inside. I do have like the copper on the outside. It does conduct heat very well. I don't have all 100% copper. So this is like a layer. So it's copper on probably aluminum. But I'm a big fan. They do carry the heat well. All right. Now, you're laying cheese. There's going to be 2 layers of cheese. So I'm going to lay this on here. And this is some organic American cheese. Because Lynn wouldn't let me use Velveeta.
And Kevin Holmes Liddell said copper has to be lined, so you wouldn't cook inside the copper.
Oh, thank you. All right, so we've got our layer of cheese. And now we're going to the beef. Oh, I think people are drilling. Chris, are you drilling?
I'm drooling.
All right, so we're gonna lay this on here. I'm drooling.
Mm-hmm.
Lay that on the cheese. Nice even layer.
How long does this bake for once it goes in?
It's gonna be 12 minutes maybe. You just really want to toast the tops of the bun. Maybe get the garlic in that garlic butter a little crispy. Oh, I think that's plenty. What do you think?
Yes. We'll have samples for us to taste now.
Perhaps. Okay, so. Plate. For my peeps.
Thoughts on Massengill pan grips?
Who?
Pan grips? Mike
Yeah.
Scott? What do you use as your pan grip?
Well, these pans from Restaurant Depot come with the grip on there. And they are removable, so you can use them on other pans. There you go. Forks. Very important, feed the people. There you go, guys. I'm gonna take one myself. Mmm. Crazy good. So, we're gonna put another layer of cheese.
Brian asks, would you like my P.O. box for the sample?
So, somebody feed, oh, she's feeding herself. Awesome.
Hmm.
I think Chris is welling up in tears.
Oh.
That is delightful, Chef.
Thank you, my friend. This.
Huh. I got distracted and stopped filming you.
You did?
I was filming the wall.
Nice. That's good. That makes for great television, honey.
Sorry, I missed the top layer of cheese.
Okay, so here's the top layer of cheese.
I was eating.
I'm gonna put the buns back on. Press it down a little bit. Garlic butter. Of course, you could make this with tallow as well. You want to make sure you get a lot of that garlic on there. Yeah, so these are the Hawaiian rolls.
Savory ones.
They do come sweet and savory, apparently. So we bought the savory ones.
I'm sorry.
You okay, Kira?
I am.
Oh, good.
Thank you, Brian.
Yes.
I had to do tasting. And Brian says, wonderful show. We hope you do more like it.
It's my intention. All right.
We had a little lag in shows while we remodeled the house.
Yep. Nice. All right, I think that just might be enough. Just exactly perfect, as we say. There you are.
I am
That
so ready.
is going to be good.
Yes, it is.
All right, so I got my oven 350. Gotta work clean. doing 350.
Perry Creamy is watching.
We are putting it in.
Hey, Perry.
I'm going convection.
From Ray Ortiz, I recently started to experiment with demi-glaze, and I've failed. Do you have any recipes for a good glaze using sorry, it keeps moving. Dry age need byproducts. I see you had it as an ingredient.
Yes. It's you're basically want to start by making a dry aged beef stock. Now, listen, there's a classical method of making demi-glaze. You know, original French method, which requires roasting bones. It's pretty much a bone broth. You make a stock, and there's a whole thing. The actual real demi-glaze, they're very careful not to make it cloudy. But yeah, it's my home kitchen. I mean, I'm not running a restaurant here, so I will make a broth with the vegetables, and again, I will brown everything in the oven. I'll brown the bones, I'll brown the pellicle, I got onions, I've got carrots, I've got a whole bunch of things. I'll make sure I get a nice char on those because that makes it a darker sauce. So the traditional method is you're making a brown sauce, and it's known as an Espanol. It's one of the six mother sauces. So you're doing that, and then you're making demi-glaze out of that. But we're doing it, we're roasting the bones, roasting the meat, roasting the vegetables, putting it in a pot, throwing in every piece of like herb that I have. You know, you got a half a thing, or you reserve your parsley stems. If you're using parsley, don't throw them away, just keep them. Mushrooms, if mushrooms get all dry and shrivelly in your refrigerator, they are perfect, because what's happening is the moisture is being removed, and you may have heard this concept before. Moisture is being removed. The umami is increasing. So the less water moisture, the more increase in flavor. So, and that's exactly what we're doing with dry aged beef. It has been scientifically proven that dry aged beef has more umami than fresh unaged beef, and that's what keeps us drooling over dry aged beef. So you're going to put that, you're going to cover it with water. I put in peppercorns, you can put in bay leaves, cover it with water in a big pot, and you're going to let it simmer, bring it to a boil, let it simmer all day. I usually go 6-7 hours, and then strain it out, and then put it into a smaller pot. And now here's where the demi-glaze part comes in. You're going to reduce that down, and then you can even go into a smaller pot. So you're going to end up with maybe 2 cups of demi-glaze, but it's so worth it. There's so many uses for it.
And so we put it into those ice cube trays.
Yep, I've been known to, once I'm done with the demi, pour it into ice cube trays and freeze it, and then put those frozen blocks in a bag or a container, and then when I'm making a pan sauce, put them in the pan, let them melt. It's amazing. The flavor they add is out of sight. It really is. It's out of sight. Let me take a quick look in here, see what we got.
Brian, were you thinking of a demi sauce show where he makes the demi-glaze, or were you thinking of recipes to use demi-glaze in?
That's a good question.
I don't know. So he's was that a yes and a yes? So Brian wanted a demi-glaze show.
Okay.
So he wanted a making show.
That one I'll have to do, obviously not live. I'll do the components, and then I'll string it all together in one video. I'll work on that. The next time I have enough pellicle, I actually just made a batch not too long ago, so I don't have the pellicle backup for that. But maybe my friend Chris has a whole bunch of it, and we'll do a dry aged beef stock.
Huh?
He's got a lot. Video here. He has a lot. Yeah. All right. So there you go. That's the answer. So that'll be forthcoming for sure. Again, as will my video later this afternoon about breaking down my actually 35-day bone-in ribeye. Lynn, if you would like to walk over to the Steakager. We'll look at that while this is cooking away. All right, here we go. There it is, in my Edge Star. So this will be coming out this afternoon. We're making good old steaks for dinner. Yep. Can't wait. Can't wait. It's always like Christmas morning when you break down a piece of meat out of your Steakager. It's killer. All right, let's go back over here.
Sorry, Kara.
Oop, oop, oop. Get some plates out for us.
Just got a kitchen tour.
What?
I said they just got a kitchen tour.
Oh, good. We're having some potato chips.
Can you make your potato chips with your beef tallow?
You need a lot of beef tallow to make potato chips with beef tallow. We have two varieties. We have Luke's Organic Barbecue, and we have the Salty Dog.
Thanks, Kevin.
This is the strong cheddar and onion flavor.
And guys, yes, he does make his own potato chips normally, but this was a last minute thought.
They're very easy to do. Says the chef. That would be like Bob Ross telling me it's very easy to paint this landscape scene. It is for you, Bob. Or I should say it was for you, Bob. We'll have a little bit of barbecue potato chips. We're going to have a little bit of both.
Okay. A little plating.
We're doing a little plating. Now, here's an interesting question for you guys. So we made cheesesteaks, dry-aged beef cheesesteaks. I know if I was in Philly right now, at my favorite cheesesteak place, there would be ketchup involved. What do you guys think? Ketchup or no ketchup on the dry-aged beef cheesesteaks? Interested to know. 'Cause if I use ketchup, I could get lambasted. And if I don't, I could spend the rest of my life wishing that I did.
Kevin Holmes, Liddell. No.
These actually, the addition of the demi-glaze and the stock to kind of make it juicy.
And the cognac.
And the cognac actually makes it, reduces the need for any other condiment.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this, guys. Little potato fiesta over here.
Yes. How you doing in the oven?
We're gonna find out right now.
Oh.
Say hello to my little friend.
Oh. And if you guys could smell this, that's amazing.
Mmm. See how that garlic got nice and crispy on top?
You need a pan.
It's exactly what you want.
Tray.
We'll put it right here.
Okay. And Jason says no ketchup, but it's everyone's own choice. Thank you, Jason. And Ray Ortiz, oh man, no ketchup for me.
Let's see.
And guys, this doesn't need ketchup the way the Philly cheesesteak does.
Mm-hmm. As Lynn would say.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, let me cut through because. Remove that.
Thank you. Rich Favreau. Do you deliver? Where do you live, Rich? Oh, I need.
Yeah. Wee doggy.
Kansas is too far. Thanks. But look at that, guys.
Let's try that. Mmm. Okay. We'll move over to the cutting board. Looky here. Use a regular knife.
How often do you sharpen your knives?
I will. That is a ceramic steel, which actually does sharpen, where as opposed to regular steels that don't. They just line the microscopic edge. So I try and get in the habit of doing it before and after I use the knife. A couple of strokes on that thing. That's all it takes. This way it's ready for the next time I want to use it. Like, I don't wait for it to get so dull that I have to. And depending on what I'm working on, sometimes it'll dull a knife quicker. So.
And Brian, the cider would probably be really good, but we've got some red wine.
Come on, baby. Just ready for that. Right tool for the right job.
And Brian offered to sharpen our knives.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad idea once a year. Send your knives out to a pro. Mine. Let's try this one. Because we want to see how delicious that is. Hmm.
Perry, can you smell it?
Which Perry is that?
Creamy.
Mr. Creamy, the best sign maker this side of the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
Fantastic. There you go, guys. Look at that. Hey, where am I?
next
Oh,
one?
it's this one.
Yeah, thank you.
Hmm.
All right.
So, I'm going to eat one for you guys because I'm nice like that. Actually, we're doing the pull apart. Let's see.
Yeah, let me get a good
There
angle.
we go. All right, here we go. Lunch. A hunch for lunch.
Rich Favreau's doctor would not approve. You ignore your doctor, right? All right, go, babe.
See, like I always say, I drive way too fast to worry about my cholesterol.
Bye, Brian.
I can't even. Crispy bun, tender beef, dry aged flavor. It's like no other cheesesteak I've ever had.
Can we do a peek under the bun?
Sure. You mean like this? Yeah. See how nice and juicy? No ketchup needed. Boy, am I glad I didn't make that mistake. Garlicky, everything. Perfect wintertime Saturday lunch with friends. And it really didn't take long. So I suggest you make this recipe. I recommend it highly. And thanks everyone for joining us, having a little fun in the kitchen today. And I will see you later for the breakdown of the ribeye.
Probably about 3 o'clock.
Yeah, probably around 3 o'clock or so. And yeah, thanks for joining me on the Steakager video. Have a great day, everyone.